Hello, welcome to this video. So in this video I will share how to configure SCADA database using our SCADA Explorer. So at first you need to start the database manager, and then you can go to STC Explorer or SCADA Explorer. When this pop-up window shows, then you can just type the SCADA and SCADA for the default username and password. uh, and on the below side you can see the green bar that shows the IP server where this client or SCADA Explorer connected to. Station means folder, function similar like folder, so you can manage any point inside any station. And in comm line is a representative of the physical comm line, and RTU is representative of the RTU in or field devices. So let's say we want to create a point, we want to integrate an RTU that contains of point that related to turbine 1. Let's say you have more than one turbine, and one of the turbine name is turbine 1. So you can create a folder or a station by by click the station first, and then right click on the workspace, and then click new, go to the name and type the name of the turbine. For description, let's say turbine station for point related to turbine 1. For zone group, you can choose all zone, and then user type you can just go to ID data. For more detailed description, you can go to our manual. Okay, and then uh, after that you can see there is turbine station in here. You can go to status and analog if you need more station, let's say more folder to make it more tidy. You can just click this station, go, let's say turbine 1 gearbox. So any point related to turbine 1 gearbox, then you can put the point in here. Any point related to turbine 1 gearbox. Zone group, all zone, and ID data. For parent, it will be automatically fill in because this station will be under the turbine 1. So if you want to put this station under the sys station, then you can choose sys in here. If you don't want to put it under any station, then you can just choose none in here. In this case, we will choose turbine 1 as the parent. Okay. Okay, you'll see that inside the turbine 1 there is a station, and inside the station there is a turbine 1 gearbox, and I want to create another station for the electrical. Right click in here, you can go model it. You can turbine 1 related to electrical. Okay, so you have two stations in here, and if you want to put some status point inside this station or folder, you can go to this turbine 1 electrical, choose status or analog. Okay, let's say I want to create a circuit breaker status. No, I will start with creating the comm line and the RT status first. That is the most important one. So you can go to this status because this comm line and RTU will be belong to this turbine. So I will go to this status. Actually, you can create the status anywhere you want. It's just a folder or station. Okay, so you can go to the status, type the comm line status. user type ID data, device class momentary, zone group all zone, common state. I will say on off, and it will have more detailed description on our manual. You can read it and you can easily understand from that manual. And then click OK. You need another one is for the RTU. You can just right click on the point, then model it. It's kind of copy paste for that point. Okay. So if you need to edit it, then you can just double click on it. If you want to copy it, then right click and go model it. So done, then you can go to the communication line. In this tab, you can create new communication line, type the name, communication for turbine 1, and then go to the protocol, IC104, connection, TCP IP, I guess. Then link status, you can go to the green arrow, then choose the link status that you just created. In here, in turbine 1 status, you'll see the command status, that the status that you just created. Then for the parameter, you can go to apply defaults. For the connection, this is where the IP address, and this is where the port address will be used. On the IC104 tab, you can check these common addresses and object addresses, and fill in the parameter that you usually use is 2 and 3. Then you can go click OK. After that, you move to the RTU, create the RTU. Let's say RTU turbine 1, and then link status, drop the RTU. If you miss drop the one that you already used, then you cannot click OK, or there will be a warning after you click OK, because this point already associated with the communication line, so you need to choose the right status. Okay, then it's done. Oops, sorry, you need to choose the address of the RTU, let's say 1. Okay, it's done. So you've done creating the communication line and the RTU. Now we need to create status or analog point that you want to read from the RTU or the field devices. Okay, let's say I want to create circuit breaker status. Right click in here in this turbine 1 electrical status, new, then I will type CB, circuit breaker within turbine 1 and network. User type, you can choose ID data, zone group all zone, common state, let's say open and close, and then SO even, check. Then you can choose the RTU, which means the point where the RTU where the point is exists. Check input address if this is a status point. Check control address if this point is controlled. So then type the address, let's say 1001. Object type, let's say double point, and then format, you can choose any format that appropriate. And then for the control point, you can go with probably, if double point, you can have similar address, and then you can choose if it's select before operate, or it will be direct control. And then for value ticks is the duration in millisecond, which represent the duration of the control will be latch, and the timeout is when the control will state as timeout. Let's say 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, if the feedback of the control is not come back, then the control will be state as fail. And then go to alarm. uh, in here you have priority, where you can choose if it's open, then what is the priority, if it's closed, what is the priority, and etc. The highest priority is 10 and the lowest one is 0. So it really depends on the user, how they want to manage it. Like probably open has higher priority than close. And the normal state, you can choose state, either state 1 or state 0. Depends on what is the circuit breaker used. If it's tie, then probably the normal state is open, but if it's not tie switch or tie breaker, then it will be, the normal state should be state 1. Other than that, you can read it in our manual that explain it in details. Then you can click OK. You see, this circuit breaker I've created in here, and then it will show up in here. But if you, it also possible if you create something in here, like I said, I double click this and I choose the station to turbine 1, and then I click OK, then it will be shows in here, and one in here will be gone. Okay, so it's just a folder where the point is exists. It's not, no problem if you have one station, or you have a lot of substation inside any station. It's just helping you on managing your point. For analog point, you can right click to the analog point, and then click new, choose let's say I want to create kilowatt hour, let's say the energy, energy produced by turbine 1. User type, you can go ID data, device class analog. If you have set point, then you can choose set point in here. Zone group, all zone, and engineering units, let's say kilowatt hour, and then go to telemetry. Engineering units, it will be shown up in the interface if you want. RTU, which RTU that this point will be accessed. Check the address and then type the address number, let's say 900, and then the object type, let's say normalized that band, and the format is this one. And then for the priority, let's say if the energy produced is more than 3000, then I need to prepare something because it's still in pre-emergency. Then if it's more than 5000, then it will be emergency maybe. And if it's more than, let's say, 8000, then probably the turbine need to be turned off. Not sure. So you can classify your alarm state. And then you also could choose the priority. Let's say if still pre-emergency, then you can choose 7. Maybe for emergency you can go to 8, and then for other reason maybe you can go to 10, let's say. Then you can just click OK after it. So done. You've done creating creating status point and analog point. Status point including the control point. Analog point, if you want to create set point, then you can just model it maybe, or create a new point, then choose the device class to set point. Let's say KW set. Then you can go to the control type, let's say SBO normalize. Click, and no need for alarm when you put set point. Okay, so you've done. So let's say that I just want to use one station, so I will just move this to turbine 1, move all analog point to turbine 1, so I don't have a lot of folder to be managed. So all the analog will be moved to turbine 1. status, and this station is no longer needed, so I will just delete it. So when you have your new database, then you don't have sufficient rights to delete anything. For that, you can change the access control in here. You can go to users for if you want to know what is the right of the account that you use. We use SCADA, which is all rights, and then go to user rights. This is where we can define what is all rights and all rights. For all rights, you can go to edit and click the maintenance edit. Check the maintenance edit, then click OK. With that, you can delete any point, any station or point. Okay. So that's all for creating station, point, and analog points. So now if you want to have another turbine, let's say turbine 2, you can model this. Okay, and then you need RTU and COM line for that connected to this turbine. So you will need another status and communication status, RTU and communication line status. By you can create it, the new one in here, or you can just model it from the one that exists on turbine 1. Model it, and then mm, 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 and yeah, by right click and then model it, then choose turbine 2. Okay, model 2. Because I model it, then the existing will not be disappear. It's still here, and I created the new one in here. Then the CB, I also model it, and then turbine 2. It also for the analog point. Okay. So here is you have turbine 1 and turbine 2 status and analog. For turbine 2, because you don't have the RTU yet, then when you click the telemetry, then it will be still in turbine 1. So you need to create your own turbine 2 uh, RTU by using similar procedure. Turbine 2 status. Then you can change it one by one. Oops. Okay. Now okay, we're done. I have another method that use clone, but for this, uh, you need to have a good station to be cloned. Let's say I want to create turbine 3. Okay, so I will create status command line 1st. for as a reminder, for command status and RT status, you don't have to put anything on the telemetry. Okay, it's pseudo point that used for internal system. So we have the command status and RT status for turbine 2. Now turbine 3. Now I will create command for turbine 3. So I've done that. Then instead of I model it one by one from each point. I will just clone the station, turbine 2 station, clone, and then I will choose turbine 3 as the target station, and then I will choose the RTU by click the point browser, go to this list of RTU, then I will go to RTU turbine 3. Then you can click start, and it's done. Then you will have this analog point in turbine 3 and this CB circuit breaker in turbine 3. And for the status point that already exists, because it has a similar name, then it will replace the existing one. Okay, that's all on how you configure the database.